Mrs. Lina Chiam has raised 3 points which I would like to address. The first is her concern over repeated lapses. As was noted in the earlier replies by Deputy Prime Minister Tharman and Minister Lim Swee Say, public agencies are subject to annual audits, whether by internal auditors as well as external auditors or the Auditor General. Lapses are taken seriously and investigated, and appropriate actions taken to prevent recurrence. Depending on the problem, the measures include closer monitoring by supervisors, clearer guidelines for officers, enhanced IT systems to enable better tracking, and various other measures. As a result, while recurrent lapses can still happen, they are the exception rather than the norm. And I should say this again. Whilst from time to time there are recurrent lapses, they are very much the exception rather than the norm. For example, in this year's audit by the AGO, and I say this not to trivialize the matter, but just to state factually, only one of the findings was a repeat lapse. And this was not because the agency did nothing following the first observation, but that AGO thinks their new measures were still not rigorous enough. So the agency did something after the finding, but AGO thinks that's not good enough. And that is the rigor of the system that we have. I should also emphasize what was pointed out before, that notwithstanding these findings, the AGO has given an unmodified audit opinion this year and in previous years on the government's financial statements. So that's on the first point. The second point, which Mrs. Chiam raised, had to do with the adequacy of training and the competency of the officers involved in procurement. And apart from policy reviews and procurement systems, it is equally important to build up the capabilities of our procurement officers. After all, most lapses occur not because there are no rules, but because the rules were not complied with as required. We have a training framework which was enhanced recently. This is the new procurement competency framework, which details the competencies expected of officers in various procurement roles so that they can carry out their work effectively. It is also a training roadmap to help our officers build up their mastery of procurement knowledge and skills. We also launched the Procurement Specialist Track last year to professionalize and provide clear career development pathways. There is a career development forum that gives opportunities to finance and procurement officers to deepen their skills and or widen their exposure to different job scopes and organizational settings. In addition, there are ongoing efforts to tap the knowledge and experience of officers who have built up valuable expertise over the years in specialist areas, such as construction and ICT. This allows officers to learn from one another and from established practitioners. Thirdly, with regard to Mrs. Chiam's suggestion on more centralized procurement, to provide the context, I should remind members that our procurement rules are calibrated to the value and risk of the purchases. Therefore, the approval process is highly centralized for high-value projects. Projects above $80 million must be approved by the Development Planning Committee, comprising 3 cabinet ministers, after rigorous scrutiny by the senior officials in the Ministry of Finance and the ministry concerned, before tenders can even be called. Roughly half of the total value of public sector procurements each year go through this Development Planning Committee process. Those of us who have been involved with this know how much rigor and scrutiny is involved. Approval of lower value procurements is typically decentralized for greater efficiency and responsiveness. Even so, the process is governed by a clear set of rules and complemented by regular audits. Singapore is not unique in this. Decentralized procurement is practiced in most advanced countries with efficient procurement systems, such as Australia and the United Kingdom. Nonetheless, for common goods and services, some forms of centralized purchasing are in fact being practiced today. We have over 50 bulk contracts which all government agencies can tap on, covering items such as office equipment and professional services. Overall, we aim to strike a judicious balance as the needs of the public sector agencies have grown more complex and varied over time. Excessive centralization will weigh the procurement system down and create a new set of problems. Our agencies should retain sufficient flexibility and autonomy to perform their roles effectively and be regularly audited, as they are now, to preserve system integrity. Thank you.